Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play TecknoCraft Episode 1. Currently, we are playing on the Seed, which is basically something I will leave either in the description or I will just tell you right now how I got it. I took the Hermitcraft 6 seed from 1.14 and plugged it into 1.12. This mod pack, known as TecknoCraft, contains mods such as Tinker's Construct, Immersive Engineering, and Railcraft. Today we'll be focusing on Tinker's Construct as it allows us to get some pretty early game ore doubling. Yes, in which we can use that to get onto some of the later game ore doubling. As it stands right now, you are going to want to have a crafting station as opposed to a crafting table, because stations will actually keep the items you are putting in to make it easier to craft. That may seem cheaty, but you know what? I don't care. It's at least less cheaty than the equivalent exchange mod. But to get started with the Tinker's Constructs, you're going to need the Smeltery, which is going to require grout, which is just a bunch of gravel, sand, and clay. Also, we are getting flint here, which will be very useful in the later game when we are making the sag mills. We're going to be crafting the grout using full clay blocks, so that means that for every set of grout that we want, we are going to need 4 gravel. So we want these to be divisible by 4. And I have to do that kind of math in my head. Yay. I think that's probably enough gravel to get us started. I'm a bit sorry if I seem a bit weird when I travel. It's because I am used to playing on a different world where I have slime boots. Slime boots are great and amazing things. You should totally use them in the future. Sorry about the lag. My computer is not very powerful. While some may ask that I skip this part, others may ask that I don't. If you guys have any preferences, please leave those down in the comments section, which I may or may not decide to read, depending on how nasty the comments are. If they're really nasty trolls, I will definitely read them just to see how futile your attempts to make me feel bad are. I kind of look forward to that. Now, that sugarcane over there, that's going to be much useful later when we decide to work with the diesel generators. Because, man, do we need sugarcane en masse. As you can see, my food is kind of getting a little bit low. In this particular seed, there is a village down to the west of your spawn point, which will contain, I believe, wheat, but more importantly, it will contain tons upon tons of wheat. It will contain lots of loot. No. Unfortunately, it does not appear as if we get to have a blacksmith, but that doesn't matter. We get something a lot more useful in this mod pack. We get something. We get the engineer's hammer, so we don't have to craft that to get ourselves started. We also don't have to craft a manual rolling machine. We just find that. And also we get quite a bit of track to get us started. see here, we get these. We get these. The manual rolling machine and track. We also get a trackman here, which, I mean, sure, but more important for our needs, we get this. We get lots of loot. You also will find an engineer's hut in this particular village, which is also particularly useful. Again, mostly for this engineer's hammer. You're also going to want to open these up before you break them. Otherwise, you run into a bit of a loot suppression issue. Alright, we're going to come back here and continue with the destruction of these tracts. As you can see, this one's part of the Railcraft mod, which makes track construction not great, but at the same time, it also gives you a lot of options when it comes to the tracks itself. Now, we were working towards that particular goal of getting the smeltery shut up. So let's go shut up the smeltery. With the smeltery, you're gonna want clay. Like, quite a bit of it. And then we can get focused on that. And then we can get focused on better aspects of Tinker's Construct. But smeltery is the first thing you must set up. Well, not really a must. Actually, yeah, it is a must, especially if you want those pickaxes. Actually, if you want to do anything with metal in Tinker's Construct, you need a smeltery. Or if you just want general ore doubling, you're also still going to want a smeltery. Now, as we can see here, it's becoming night, which isn't necessarily great. So what we're going to do is we're going to put down some sticks, we're going to put down some lights, and we're going to dig ourselves a hole. This hole is going to become our home for a little while we go out mining. This is going to be our temporary housing to go through the night. The great thing about Journey Map is that it comes with its own little clock on the inside, so you know. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put all of our immersive engineering stuff into this particular crate. Right, and this here will allow us to do a bit of mining and get ourselves this copper ore. Which I don't think we can make copper buckets in this pack. I'm gonna check that right now. Dear God, the lag. Also, if you don't know who I am Garrett. I'm your local meme lord. To sorry about if the sorry if the name is confusing. It is yes, it is meme underscore master. However, that is it. There is no. I am fortunate. I am sorry if you are looking for memes and came to the wrong channel. This is my channel. I can do whatever I want with it, and today I choose to play Minecraft with it. Minecraft is better than Fork Knife. And one thing that will be sad about this particular ore doubling method is that yes, you will need to make a furnace, and you will need to unfortunately smelt down some iron. Luckily, you will only need to smelt down 3. The rest you can kind of do whatever you feel like with. I'm gonna need that bread out of that chest now, aren't I? Which chest did I put it in? Here we go. It appears as if I have not found any iron, which is a bit sad, considering the fact that iron is necessary to make a bucket, which you need to get lava into your smeltery tank to power your smeltery. Which is why I was mentioning the fact that you did have to unfortunately mine some iron and smelt it down non-ore doubled. I mean, it's personally, I think it's better than having to, put it through make a crusher as your form of ore doubling, because no offense to the creators of immersive engineering, your mod is amazing, but I'm sorry, but it's just your form of ore doubling sucks. The crusher is really expensive, especially when you put it in through with another mod pack, like when you put it in a mod pack. It's just the parts that aren't great just are exemplified. Oh god. I cannot wait for the days when we get cobalt. You Once you get cobalt, you will almost never have to repair your pickaxe again. Or at least you'll never have to make a new one. Iron. I really like to find some iron. Wish I could probably time lapse this. Or maybe. Uh, you know what? I'm gonna just stay right here and do what I'm already doing. Think I'm going to make a shovel for night for the day. I think once we get our simple ore doubling system set up, we are probably going to be making ourselves a much better ore doubling system using the sag mill and the alloy smelter slash power furnace setup. In this mod pack, using the Ender IO machines is probably going to yield us much better, but before we get there, we are probably going to be making our smeltery first, especially since it will allow us to get a much better pickaxe. And you will love having better pickaxes. I mean, cobalt pickaxe with silk gem combined with the ore doubling setup, you'll never have to worry about diamonds again. I mean, you just put diamond ore through the system and you never have to think about it again. Oh my god. Why am I not finding any... Do I... Ah, dang it. Honestly, I think mining is a much more useful time use during the night than, just sitting there doing nothing in a village, so, here you go. Also, the reason why I like showing my mining is to prove to certain people that, yes, I am actually mining for resources and not, just going into creative mode. Although, on this particular world, if I tried doing that, I cannot do that. But, there's always those who just think that they're skeptical and think that it's correct by questioning whether or not I'm actually mining for resources. So you know what? Just to keep those people to shut up, I'm going to keep mining on camera. Plus, it's my channel. If I find it boring, then I'll remove it. If I don't, I don't. And give me another pickaxe, because holy bejesus, I cannot wait until we have much better tools. I mean, just think about how slow this is mining, and then just wait till we have an ore doubling set up. Our smeltery. Ah, finally. It is now daytime. Let's go and go get some clay. I know that over here is technically a river, but I think I'm going to take my boxes. I think I'm going to put my stuff into my boxes here. And we're going to take our stuff here, and we're just going to walk out. I know that there is some I know that there is some clay up by a pool near our lava river thing there that we can use to get our smeltery started. Also, we're going to need our furnace because of the fact that to get the actual, like, smeltery bricks, I need to, well, smelt grout. Ugh, grout. I'm just kidding. Grout's not that bad. Alrighty. Ah, yes. Now here are some pools. I hope that that's actually clay and that I'm not thinking that that's someone else. Yeah, that's clay. Excellent. Also, one of the mods that we're using here is the one probe, which allows us to see what type of blocks that we're looking at. It's like Wayla. What am I looking at? But for 1.12.2, and isn't weird to use. All right, let's see how much grout we have. I mean clay. Oh Jesus, the lag. All right. And we're just going to finish up mining this clay here, and we're going to get ourselves some grout, which we're going to smelt down into smeltery bricks, which we use to make the smeltery. All right. More Tree Punching Simulator 2019. That's what the start of this mod pack's gonna feel like. It's just gonna feel like Tree Punching Simulator 2019. Because there is unfortunately not really much we can do about that part. If you don't feel like messing around with some of the Ender IO's soul enhanced stuff, I would consider playing this mod in peaceful mode, because then that can force you to do a lot more interesting stuff, as opposed to, what I do. Now, since I couldn't find any iron during the night, I do, however, know a place where there is, in fact, iron. It's not very far, and because we're not playing with Iguana's tinker tweaks, we don't have to mess around with the whole coal thingamajig. Ah, now here's some Surdis quartz. This is going to be very useful later. Now, those red dots there are, in fact, enemies. And those can be a bit annoying in Minecraft, especially when you get onto like cobalt things. It's not really fun anymore having enemies on, just because you're not really doing much with them and they're really easy to kill afterwards. Early game they can be a bit of a challenge, but later on it's more of an annoyance, so you know, not very fun. So alright, we're gonna go get some of this copper that's right here. Because fortunately for us, when we melt down copper ore in the Tinker's smeltery, it will automatically default to the immersive engineering copper, which means that we work on one system of copper. which is great because it works the exact same thing with our sag alloy setup, our sag mill alloy smelter setup that we will be getting onto a bit later. One thing with this mod pack that you will need to keep in mind is that it is very iron heavy. You are going to need iron for days. At least if you don't want to go collect iron for the rest of your lifetime. Also, you're gonna need some shears to get better Ender IO stuff. All right, to make a Tinker's smeltery, you're gonna need a smeltery controller, a smeltery drain, and I'm going to need some glass in a little bit, so when this iron is done, I will smelt that down. You're going to need at least one faucet to dump out your liquid items. You're going to need a casting table, and is that iron done? Yes, it is. I'm going to make that into a bucket. And once this glass is down, I'm going to put in some more grout. And then for this one, and then you're going to need some. You're gonna need like plenty of seared brick for this one. This is probably the worst part about using the smeltery as your early game setup, is that it is slow to get started. Once you have gotten started, though, it's actually really easy to use and pretty intuitive as a system. Well, I don't think intuitive is quite the right word for that, but it's a very easy to use system. Alright, and then to make the tank, we're going to use that recipe. We're going to use a tank for this one because of the fact that I don't have the sand handy to make something else. And then last but not least, we're going to need like seared stone brick, basically. And we're going to need 2 of those to get this simple smeltery started, which is only going to have space to smelt down 1 ore at a time, but we can upgrade that later. Alright, now that you see this flame effect, you now can use your smeltery, which you're going to be able to use to get into your early game ore doubling. Yes. It is now that beautiful time of day when it is now night. If you have the want to, you can go out and go kill some things, but I don't feel like doing that right now, so I'm not going to. Alright, as you can see, being able to only do it one at a time is quite slow. Alright, iron ore is going to be smelting down into molten iron, which is going to be so great to use later. However, I have made a slight mistake here, in that what we're actually going to need to get ourselves started is we're going to need a seared basin. And the reason why we're going to need one of those first is because we need to we're going to actually need to make this into a block so that it is, out of the system. Or if you have the time or the want or the material to, you could instead actually make a second faucet and just put both down. Which is what I'm going to do because this is what I normally do with the tanker smeltery. Alright, is this excellent? Excellent. We're going to get more seared brick. And we're going to just do this, which, don't worry, I'm not a madman. Alright, now we just need 2 more seared bricks block. And then we will have a much bigger smeltery. Which, honestly, bigger smelteries are much, much better to use as opposed to the small ones. And now we have a much bigger smeltery. Unfortunately, as you can see there, when you break a smeltery, it doesn't save the fluid, so we did unfortunately lose some of our iron. However, that won't be too much of an issue because we're just going to go over here, mine some bauxite ore, which turns into aluminum. And aluminum combined with copper creates aluminum brass, which we combine with a seared brick. In the casting table will get us a cast of an ingot. And ingot casts will now allow us to cast out ingots, effectively ore doubling. Now you see the genius behind the choice there. Alright, now that I have my 1 bauxite ore that I need to get us started here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go up to our smeltery. I'm going to make an ingot cast, and I think that might be all I have time for. Maybe. Alrighty, let's get over there. Alrighty. So now that we have our basic smeltery set up, let's get our copper ore, and let's make ourselves some aluminum brass. You're always going to want some seared, however, you're going to want some seared brick in your storage, even when you're done. Simply put, it's going to be so much easier to have to deal with later. Alright. Alright, and now we have some aluminum brass being melted down. Alright, now we have 2 ingots worth of aluminum brass. We're going to use one of those ingots to make an ingot cast. Now, we're going to take our iron, and I'm going to smelt that. Alright, now you have your early game ore doubling setup. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, you know where the dislike button is. Comment down below if there's anything you want to see different. And as always, subscribe if you want to see more.